Israel has formally notified the United Nations that it is cutting all ties with the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees, UNRWA, after lawmakers voted to ban the organization. The parliamentary decision last week has since sparked global condemnation, including from key Israeli backer, the US. Washington said it was deeply concerned about the move, describing UNRWA's role as irreplaceable in the Gaza Strip and the Israeli-occupied West Bank. Israel, however, says it will continue to work with international partners, including other UN agencies, to ensure the delivery of aid into these areas. But the country has yet to provide a proposal for how the functions of UNRWA will be replaced. Israel has long been critical of the aid agency, accusing it of anti-Israel bias. Now let's go to southern Lebanon. Israel says it has eliminated a top Hezbollah commander responsible for launching rocket and anti-tank missile attacks against Israeli troops. Now this marks Israel's latest target since it launched a massive aerial campaign across Lebanon more than a month ago. The Iran-backed group, meanwhile, said it fired rockets at the northern city of Safed. This all comes a day after Israel says it carried out an incursion into Syria, seizing one of its citizens allegedly involved in Iranian networks. It is the first time in the ongoing war that Israel has announced its troops are operating in Syrian territory. Israel says the detained Syrian gathered intelligence on Israeli troops in the border area. The military said the operation took place several months ago and that the man was brought to Israel for interrogation. A lot going on. Sarah Coates is joining us from Tel Aviv to help us through that all. Sarah, first, in about 3 months, we just heard that Israel will ban UNRWA and work instead with other international agencies and other UN organizations. How could this all affect aid in and out of Gaza?
Hello there, Jill. Well, all of this does remain pretty unclear at this stage, but the United Nations is certainly ringing the alarm bell, saying that 2.3 million Palestinians in the Gaza Strip are completely reliant on UNRWA. Now, if this ban does come into effect, what it would mean is that Israel would block the work permits, the entry permits of these foreign workers of UNRWA. Now, Israel has been saying that it would work with international partners to actually get this aid in, get this aid distributed, but it does remain unclear as to who this would be. Now, in terms of what could be done, the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, he would be able to actually veto this bill, potentially if there is enough pressure from these Western allies of Israel. But in saying that, Jill, we do need to remember just how critical Israel has been of UNRWA, and especially since October 7, with the Israelis saying that a number of these UNRWA staffers were actually part of the October 7 attacks, which is something the organisation denies, Jill.
And then there is that other moving part, Israel's detention of several suspects for allegedly leaking documents and harming hostage negotiation efforts. What more do we know about that probe?
Certainly, this is being seen as one of the most serious security breaches in the country's history. It is fairly muddy, let's say, given that this gag order has been partially lifted. We don't know all of the details, but what we can tell you is that one of these suspects, he's named as Eliezer Feldstein. He was actually one of Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister's former spokespeople and close aides. There are 3 other people who have not yet been named. Now, he stands accused of actually leaking this very sensitive information that centres around these hostage negotiations and also these conditions, extra conditions that Benjamin Netanyahu reportedly put on. You may remember this condition about the Philadelphia corridor, that very narrow strip of land that separates Gaza and Egypt, with Benjamin Netanyahu saying he would refuse to pull out of that area. Now, this is once again extremely serious, and it is causing outrage here in Israel, with basically the family members of these hostages accusing the Netanyahu government of abandoning their loved ones. Now, late last week, we did have a statement from the Prime Minister's office. They said that no one from his office had actually been questioned. But then, Jill, on Saturday, that same office did come out to say that the suspect didn't take part in security briefings, nor did he ever receive classified documents. But certainly this is something that we can expect to hear more about over the coming days. Jill.
All right. As always, our thanks to Sarah Coates. They're reporting live from Tel Aviv.